Welcome to Anime Analysis with Cera and Dawn. In today's discussion, we will cover our top 3 anime, as well as our top heroes and villains from each show. But first, let's discuss a little bit of the history of anime, for those who might not be familiar with it.
Modern anime began to develop in the 1970s. Japanese animators became inspired by the films Walt Disney was putting out. Japan's booming tech market also helped influence these artists, as they separated from their Western influence. Instead of forest settings like Snow White and Robin Hood, they began writing and drawing shows that were set out in modern or future times and featured advanced sci-fi technology, like mechas, which became a staple of anime.
It was during this time shows like Astro Boy, Lupin the Third, and Mazinger Z became popular. This was also the time legendary artists and writers began to come into public consciousness. It was in this era that Hayao Miyazaki began his work.
By the late 70s, over 50 anime were aired on the television. By the late 80s, global blockbuster hits like Akira were becoming popular. Miyazaki also created, along with his editor, the powerhouse studio company, Studio Ghibli. In this era, and they produced many groundbreaking and influential films, such as Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind and Castle in the Sky.
Over the years, anime has solidified itself in global culture, winning many international awards, including Oscars. In 2020, roughly 50 years after anime began to reach outside of Japan, its influence on film, fashion, and culture is everywhere. You can even see shot-for-shot reproductions of anime scenes in films like Inception and Black Swan.
We hope this discussion will spark an interest in anime for you, or if you are already a fan, maybe you will find something new to watch.
To begin, we will discuss our top 3 anime. The first anime of the day is Soul Eater. Running from 2008 to 2009, Soul Eater is a shonen horror that has 51 episodes in total. The manga has a total of 25 volumes, and like most anime, the manga had the better ending.
The show focuses on 3 teams of Meisters and humanoid weapons as they experience life at the Death Weapon Meister Academy. Main characters, Maka and her living weapon Soul, seek out to transform the weapon into the ultimate death scythe. But to do that, Soul must absorb 99 evil human souls and 1 witch soul. Sarah, what do you like about the anime?
For one, I adore the character design and art style. The show has a wonderful range of well-rounded, diverse characters for all types of people to enjoy. Not only that, but the varying weapons and fighting styles of all the characters makes fight scenes more unique and fun to watch. The soundtrack is also pretty epic. Musical artist Lotus Juice helped on the Soul Eater OST, as well as the soundtrack for the next anime we're going to talk about.
The next anime on our list was actually an adaptation of the 2016 JRPG Persona 5, getting an anime later in 2018.
Both the game and the anime focus on high schooler Akira Kurusu, who lives his life as a normal high school student by day, and after school, him and his team enters their enemies' palaces to steal their metaphorical hearts. This causes a change in personality, so they often target political figures and anyone considered a menace to society. When you say this out loud, the concept sounds really dumb, but it's better than it seems.
In the game the anime is based on, the player character also needs to balance their social life with thieving and school. This is honestly one of my favorite parts of the game, as you feel a deep connection with the characters as you spend more time hanging out with friends. Adding on to the music, the franchise has had a very close connection to Lotus Juice, appearing on the soundtrack in almost every installment. While it is lacking in the anime, the art style is incredibly unique and is probably another one of my favorite parts of Persona 5. Whenever I see the art style, I'm usually able to point it out right then and there. No problem. Art style truly is a very unique concept, and it plays a huge role in our third anime.
Seems as if Dawn and I have the same likes when it comes to Persona 5. I personally am very attached to the music and the stylization of the game. The soundtrack is heavily jazz influenced, and the art carries a noir atmosphere. This help contributes to the heist themes of the game, which is why it's became a close favorite of mine. Moving on, the last anime of the day is RWBY. One could argue that the show actually isn't an anime, but I don't know what else you'd categorize it as, so we're sticking with anime. RWBY, or RWBY, stands for red, white, black, and yellow, which are the colors associated with the main team of characters. RWBY is an action-adventure fiction with little hints of a science fantasy, according to Google, and has a total of 7 seasons, with an 8th coming this November.
We're only going to talk about the first 3 seasons, as everything following was not led by the original creator and writer, and therefore is a drastically different show. With that out of the way, the show follows Team RWBY, consisting of characters Ruby Rose, Weiss Schnee, Blake Belladonna, and Yang Xiao Long.
The first 3 seasons involve our main characters just living their life, training to become Huntress at Beacon Academy, all while having fun and goofing around, living that 15 to 17 high schooler age range.
Personally, I love this show because of the music. While I have been left disappointed regarding some aspects of the anime, the music is the one thing that has never dipped in quality. Composer Jeff Williams and his daughter, Casey Lee Williams, who provides vocals for the music, are honestly godsends for the anime. And if they ever left, RWBY would honestly be in pieces.
Now it's time to talk about our favorite heroes and villains from each show. And we're gonna start off with Soul Eater. Took a lot of fighting, but I think we finally came to an agreement on our favorite protag. Take it away.
We decided on Krona, who can be considered somewhat of a 4th protagonist to Soul Eater. But I love the characters so much that I just had to talk about them. Being the child of our favorite villain of the anime, Krona was at the beginning forced into being a villain. This was because of their weapon, infamously known as Demon Sword Master Krona. Their weapon was just that, an actual demon. This demon, known as Ragnarok, would often bully and overpower Krona so much that eventually their own mother Medusa neglected them, referring to the being as Ragnarok, completely ignoring her own child's name.
At some point in the series, Ragnarok was shrunk and Krona gained much more control over their own thoughts and alliances. Because of this newfound free will, Krona made this decision to study at Death Weapon Meister Academy and made all sorts of new friends and gained all sorts of new knowledge about how to effectively use the demon sword Ragnarok.
It saddens me to move on from my beautiful baby Krona. But now it's time to talk about our favorite villain from the show.
Our favorite villain is the lovely Lady Medusa Gorgon. Woo! Before she was outed as an evil bad guy to the other characters, she worked undercover at the school as a nurse and referred to as Dr. Medusa. When she worked at the school, she was a favorite to all the students and staff.
While she worked as a nurse, she plotted to release the big skin guy kept in the basement of the school. Medusa's witch gang, which consisted of Frog Girl and Buff Guy, wanted to release the big skin guy to cause chaos and ultimate destruction. Woo! We're not gonna go further in to avoid spoilers.
Moving on, can you guess what time it is? It's Persona 5 time!
Our favorite, well, more likely my favorite, is Futaba Sakura.
I didn't want to argue about this, so we stuck with Futaba. I'm gonna let Dawn handle this one.
Thank you. Futaba is the second to last phantom thief discovered by the main characters. Her backstory is that of a sad one. Despite being a genius, she was a loner. The kids in her classes considered her to be a gross, stinky nerd gamer that no one wanted anything to do with. She didn't even have a mother. I mean, technically she did, but her mother was a scientist who surrounded herself with her work, so she was never able to care for her child.
And to no one's surprise, her mother died.
Yes, the death of her mother drove her into a further isolation. After her passing, she developed extreme social anxiety and a hatred for the outside world. With the approval of her adoptive father, Futaba spent most of her time locked up in her room on the internet and used video games as a form of escapism.
If you think about it, she's not so different from you and I.
I mean, yeah, we aren't epic video game characters with epic outfits and a bigger purpose in life.
I don't know about you, but I think my outfits are pretty epic.
Moving on, when Futaba had her big change of heart, she became more social. She started to hang out with the Phantom Thieves more. Granted, she still suffered from mental illness, but with the help of her new friends, she slowly grew over her crippling fear of the outside world.
As for our favorite villain of Persona 5, there wasn't too much competition. While there are multiple villains in the game, only one had a really decent character arc. This one being Goro Akechi.
Despite being the best villain, he manages to hide that fact almost the entire game, unknown to the player character. I don't want to spoil the villain, but his story arc is one of my favorites in a Persona game. On top of that, his design and voice actor are honestly such good fits for the character.
I don't know much about Goro. He's got a cool Phantom Thief outfit though.
Doesn't he have a bird beak for a mask?
Yeah, and his Phantom fit kind of makes him look like a Disney prince, but in the boring kind of way.
Do you even know much about him?
No, not really if I may be honest. I got through the Haru arc and kind of dropped the series. Not because it was bad, but, well, I don't know why. I think I kind of got distracted.
How could you not finish Persona 5, the best Persona game in the series?
I don't know if I'd be bold enough to say it's the best game in the series. That might start a war with some Persona stans out there.
If you don't think Persona 5 is the best game in the series, meet me in the back alley at sundown.
Let's move on to our favorite RWBY protagonist, Yang Xiaolong. She's one of the main characters of Team RWBY and is a fan favorite amongst the community.
She is the sister of Ruby Rose, the main character. Yang is a hot-tempered girl who has a motorcycle and PTSD. This PTSD came from a tragic fight she lost against villain Adam Taurus. After cutting her arm off, that's kind of rude. The rest of the show is her dealing with her PTSD, all while dealing with being a valuable member of Team RWBY.
I honestly really like Yang's design. She's this fiery blonde girl who has kind of a biker aesthetic, and her color palette has a lot of yellow in it, which is one of my favorite colors.
I thought your favorite color was orange.
I mean, it is, but yellow is a close second.
I don't like yellow. It reminds me of lemonade.
What's your beef with lemonade? Never mind. I've decided I don't care enough. Back to Yang. Everything about her design just radiates beat you in a fight energy.
I really like her weapons. There are some gauntlets that wrap around her arms that can actually shoot like a gun, but they later really integrate into her robotic arm.
And lastly, our favorite RWBY villain is Miss Neapolitan. Appropriately themed after Neapolitan ice cream, she sports a cute parasol. She's not as sweet as she sounds, however, because in the handle of the parasol is a thin hidden blade, which can also pop out of the top of the parasol. Not only does this accessory act as a weapon, but it can double as a shield. The parasol's canopy is made out of a dense, durable fabric, which can help protect her against minor explosions.
She can also use her parasol as a glider, similar to Princess Peach. As you can tell, her character design is partially the reason why we love her so much.
Indeed.
She's partnered up with big evil villain man Roman Torchwick of the White Fang. She's kind of like Roman's right-hand man and easily fends for herself.
Fun fact, she's also a mute. Shout out to the mute community.
She may not talk a lot, but her role as a villain has more of an impact on the show than most people remember. She does have an epic character arc, but that's in Season 6, and no one really cares about RWBY past Season 3, so we're not going to discuss it.
Gonna be real? I don't remember much of her character other than she's evil. She looks cool, and she fights cool, and that's all I care about. Coming to the end of the show, a good hero can give people hope and help them invest in the story.
That's one of the best things about anime. The stories are so well written. Anyone who has seen a Miyazaki film knows just how moving, intricate, and well-written anime can be.
Not only that, but anime covers so many genres. There are epic battles of good versus evil, but there are also slice-of-life anime for when you want to relax after a long day.
Let's not forget, there are crime dramas, horror, science fiction, fantasy.
Yes, just about any genre of television or film you can think of most likely has a strong representation in anime. What once was for passionate fans has become mainstream in America.
That's true. Thanks to the internet and our ever more connected world, the world of anime has become more mainstream. To me, that's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. And we hope we've given both fans and non-fans a lot to think about, and hopefully some new anime to check out.
I'm Dawn.
And I'm Sarah. Thank you for watching today's episode of Anime Analysis.
Right.